pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States to the state of the nation. Justice. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bollray.
Here.
Mr. Blanton.
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Here. Can I get a motion for acceptance of the minutes of the November 20th meeting, 2024, and regular meeting of the Board of Trustees? Also, the minutes of the December 4th, 2024, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
I will make a motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the November 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, and for the acceptance of the minutes of the December 4th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
I will second it.
Mr. Bollray.
Yes.
Mr. Blanton.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Also, I'm asking for a motion for acceptance of the invoices.
Make a motion that we accept all the invoices as presented by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Mr. Bollray. Mr. Blanton.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
All right, we're off and running. Sheriff's Report, Lieutenant.
Evening, everybody. Lieutenant McElroy with Hampton County Sheriff Patrol District 1. Report for November. We had a total of 236 runs. 189 of those were dispatched. 47 of those were non-billable or self-initiated. As far as service exchange goes, 128 times Minor Township car was requested outside of Minor Township. 101 were actually went to the call, 27 was disregarded en route. In exchange, 135 times county cars were requested in Minor Township. 63 of those arrived, 3 disregarded en route. We took 12 criminal reports and 9 criminal reports. And then 5 auto accidents. So, do you have any questions?
Are there any questions for the Lieutenant? Any questions for the board?
My understanding is you guys will do checks, correct? Every holiday report. No. So, nice reminder of some of the additional perks and services that you guys provide.
That's where you always have, we've always done vacation events, and obviously there's pick up a little bit more holiday. No problem with that. Any questions? All right, thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
All right, administrative report, Mr. Brett.
Good evening, everyone. A few quick updates. The parking lot addition at West Park, the contractor was actually able to get that base coat laptop in between the freezing weather and the rain. So
That looks good.
yeah, it's in good shape for the winter. We'll be able to put a top coat on next spring. Later tonight, you have the appropriation for 2025 for your approval. Finance Committee met again yesterday, went over those, and Ms. Hoser and been working on those, and I think we've come through a pretty good recommendation for appropriations. The road repairs on Indian Parade, I believe I mentioned last meeting that we had a long area that we had to mill and repair, otherwise it's going to be probably a full depth repair next spring. And the blacktop plants thought that good week and how blacktop was able to get in and get that project complete. So that's good news. That'll save us money next spring. Nuisance issues that we've been dealing with, especially on Bridgetown Road. I think y'all are familiar with that with the camper motorhome. Both the county has sent them a letter, and Ed Lindenschmidt sent them a letter about that, and also about the entire mess there. And Mr. Beck, you were right. There were 3 numbers in your old file. One of those numbers still worked. So
That's what I'm going to ask you tonight.
So we were able to get a hold of, I think you said you had talked with.
Cantor Strutt is the owner.
Yeah, and, when he called back, he said his name was Butch, and Ed talked with him today. Apparently, he was selling that property on a land contract, and he did not realize that he was still responsible for it, and basically, Ed told him that if he didn't get it cleaned up in the next 30 days, that we were gonna clean up the tax bill, and he was gonna have to pay for it, so he's, gonna be talking with his tenant. He honestly, from what Ed said, he did not understand how a land contract worked. Didn't understand that he was gonna be responsible for it, so Ed did a really good job of explaining that to him and how it works, and, but he still got the nasty letter, so. Let's see, one addition that I didn't have on there for you guys, the Village of North Bend has, accepted the extension to the fire contract for the next 90 days, so we can work with them on getting something permanent done. And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
All right, any questions for Mr. Pratt?
I did, I stepped up earlier and I did talk to Mr. Lindsey Schmidt as well. Was up here working on some nuisance complaints and had a good conversation. And again, I think he's a good addition on working with Jason Pastor and our staff. And so we're making progress on some of those problems. That's all.
Presentations or public questions on the agenda. Fire department, Chief Schuman.
Last month, we responded to 192 incidents overall. Of those 192 incidents, 83 of those were overlapping, which is 43% of those calls. Fire prevention, we did 140 fire prevention activities to include fire inspections, hydrants, public relations, flame reviews, that sort of stuff. Completed 92 and a half hours of fire training and 12 and a half hours of EMS training, for a total of 105 hours of total training. And then we gave aid individually 8 times, received it 7 times. November 1st, we had a call for a water rescue down there at the bridge by the high school there for a missing juvenile. Ended up that they found her in Township at a Taco Bell. But either way, we went through our due diligence to search for her with mutual aids from Hamilton County USAR, Hamilton County drone team, and obviously the sheriff's office is there to help as well. So a great ending to a rather long search for her. So
It wasn't wet, was she?
no, there was a whole big story around that. That's for a whole other time.
Thanks for.
We assisted Whitewater with a chlorine leak. And one person was transported from there by our medic unit. And then on the 22nd of November, we had a semi-truck, asphalt truck on fire. Truck was not carrying anything and the fire was extinguished with no issues. Did an AED proposal for Mr. Brett, met with Mr. Knoll to look at Prairie Hospital ventilators and their ventilators and medic units to help breathe for people who can't breathe for themselves. And we've had them for over 20 years or so, and they're to the point where nobody is servicing them. So we're just looking at our options there. Not sure what that looks like next year, but we're exploring options. Had multiple EMS students complete the right time with us, and that continues to happen. Completed 3 EMS patient care reports from law firms. Did car seat installation, engine 69, went to 3 Rivers School to spray them after the pumpkin catapult. which was fun. Did a slip, trip, and fall hazards presentation at the senior center. The Girl Scout troop was up here at Station 70. We did a fire safety talk and station tour, and then a Thanksgiving event after. So, other than that, that's it.
Any questions for Chief Schuman? All right, any questions from the board? All right, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Moderator,
You too.
Merry Christmas, thanks. All right, Senior Center, Mrs. Herbert. She was.
Virtual activities for the senior center in the month of November. In November, we finished up our fall prevention class, the 7-week program. And we finished our last 3 classes in November for that. And it was so well received. We'll do it again in the fall. So people working cooperatively, they hosted it. And it was a really good program. The fire department, yeah, he came 1 week and just did fall prevention, things to look out for, how to keep yourself safe at home, that type of thing. So we'll do that again. Number 12, the sheriff department came to the senior center and it was awesome. They did a drone demonstration. And, oh yeah, it was fantastic. We're coming. The seniors were amazed at that technology. And I swear, the drone would be just a teeny dot way out in the sky. And it would zoom in on a license plate in the parking lot. And it was amazing. And so they were just in awe over all that. Thank you for being patient and answering all their questions that they had. And so it was fantastic. So thank you very much. It was a good program. Let's see, the 14th, the senior chorus performed at the Harrison Trail Health Campus for the residents there. It was very nice. They started out with some patriotic songs. And these 2 gentlemen, residents there in the nursing home, who were veterans, they stood throughout these whole songs, like listen. It was just a very moving, touching thing to see. But so we'll do that again. We're going to travel around and visit some other places. Home Instead, a home health company. They offer services such as personal care, companionship, meal prep, transportation, etc. They came and sponsored our Birthday Friday. So a lot of these organizations will come to the center, especially on Birthday Fridays, because it's a big event, and they'll do a presentation, bring lunch, dessert, or they'll call bingo for us. So Home Instead was there for us on Birthday Friday. November 20th, Center's Thanksgiving lunch, a big deal. We catered with Sullivan's this year because normally we cook everything ourselves, but it's just gotten too big. So no more cooking, so we're catering now. So that's a very nice time. January 7th, upcoming, To Coding with Love is a book signing. Author Rob Lowe, the actor. He'll be at the center to share facts, pictures, stories of his years at Coney Island. So,
Any questions for Ms. Carter? Or any questions from the board? Okay.
all right, have a great holiday.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. All right, James Department, Mr. Miller is under the weather. Mr. Brett, is going to read that?
Sure. We did not have to get anything quoted this month, which means we didn't spend a lot of money, which is always good. The blacktop work that Julie's houses on Indian Brae and Bear Lane was started on December 9th. We got that done. Winter weather, November 30th for the general call out for them. They did put down some salt because micey spots. The comm center has called them out a lot. That is kind of been unnecessary. So they're working with our surrounding neighbors to talk to them about when we really need to come out and when they need to be called. The West Park Community Center, the sprinkler system's been shut off and winterized, and the hanging baskets that have flowers in them have been removed. Maintenance and repairs. When he wrote this, we were still waiting for Duke to turn on the gas for the heat. When they came to do that, they found another leak in the furnace in the apartment, which is, I guess, where tram is. And we told them to replace everything because they kept, every time they replace something, 2 months later, they have a break. And I guess that wasn't everything, so we're crossing our fingers. It's fixed today. I need to ask for everybody's prayers, but if we can get Duke back by the weekend, it'd be great. And, I think people at church on Sunday were praying for warm weather, or at least some heat in the building. Just in preparation for the winter, they've checked the chains, checked the wires and the salt spinners. They've been doing some preventative maintenance on the equipment. They tried to fix the heat at the senior center. It's been, they did fix the heat at least several times. We kept having to go back. I worked on the lights at Station 68 and they're repaired. Replaced the facade, the faded street signs and the parking signs, especially at the Township lines. And they've patched a bunch of curbs and built potholes that we're getting so they don't get any worse over the winter. And at Maple Grove Cemetery, they've got the water shut off. They had 7 burials already this month. We're in November. They have 1 grave and 1 ditch sold and poured a couple of foundations for headstones when they had some good weather. And that's what the maintenance department's done up to.
All right, thank you. Safety, Mr. Hughes, did
He is still not feeling well, and he said he had no accidents to report, no issues, and they told me to stay home and get better.
All right. Mrs. Rivers, facility and rental events.
Good evening. So November was a busy month, 24 events. 24 events, plus we used as a voting location. We had the Boy Scout pancake breakfast. The community center was used nearly every single day in November. So I do want to just quickly skip to December, because I don't think these thank yous can really wait until our January meeting. We held our Winter Wonderland event here in December, and fire department estimates that we had over 700 guests come through the building that night. It was a pretty incredible event. I need to mention some people by name because it just wouldn't have gone off without them. First, thank you to Chief Schumann. He sees a need to open the firehouse to the public for events like this, and it was so well received. He went and brought a vintage fire truck in. He had them clean out the bay to make room for a giant bounce house. They staffed the event that night. It was wonderful. So that evening we had Travis King, Jack Bonner, Mitch Rule, Tyler Rui, Ben Vosberg, and Eli Williams. And at one point they were texting me, Carrie, there must be 500 people in the fire bay. And it was just an incredible event. Everywhere you went, it was tons of people. It was truly a family event with a lot of grandparents and parents and kids and tons of smiles and tons of compliments from everyone that came through. They were so thankful that we were able to open the building for that. So thank you very much. A huge thank you to Lindsay King, who takes over decorating on the firehouse side. And she brings tons of decor from her own house and sets up Christmas trees. And she just takes the reins, and I don't know what I would do without her that day because it's just too much for me to do alone. The true MVP of the night was one of my employees, Brian Seibert. He jumped into the role of Grinch. And this is a quiet kid who you would never expect to do what he did. And people were coming up to me asking who it was because he was so phenomenal. And he stayed in that costume the entire 2.5 hours, even when I asked him if he didn't want to. And when he took it off, he said, I don't know where that came from, but what was it fun? So thank you to him. Huge shout out to Tina Cole from the Taylor Builders Club. She brought a group of students, there were probably 14 of them. They worked all night with huge smiles on their faces. Their parents came and helped out also, and we really couldn't have done it without them. Officer Fisher, Detective Fisher now, I guess. He brings his daughter and a group of girls to work, and they love working the same booth, and they're great. And then last but not least, the generosity of all of our sponsors who allowed big ideas to really come alive that night. Sullivan's, LaRose's, Baker Insurance, LCMB, Regina Bakery, Schmidt Dentistry, and the Kiwanis. So just thank you to everyone. Thank you, the trustees, for allowing it to happen, for Mr. Brett allowing it to happen. I do think it's an event that the community really obviously has embraced with over 700 people coming through in one night in 2.5 hours. They must like it. So that's it. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Any questions? Mr. Roseworth?
I mean, I just want to obviously, my kids had a blast and, it's admirable for you to do a lot of thank yous for, there's somebody that's got to be the quarterback and, so well done. We went together and that was a tremendous amount of work. You put your heart and soul into it. So, thanks for all their smiles, of all their kids. So.
Real quick, I saw your story on the news. It was fantastic. I want to tell you that. Thank you for what you do for the community. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
I appreciate it also. It was
Thank you.
wonderful event. My grandkids, I brought.
A lot.
They enjoyed it. They were running around. They liked it. They liked the vibe.
Thank you. It was nice
They
seeing.
love
both
the
their
fire
kids.
department. So
Yeah.
it's fantastic. The bounce house was a great addition.
And
And
then,
the old fire truck and all of that was, and even over here, it was great. We spent time over there and over here.
Thank you.
So it was a good event.
Bigger and better next year.
a very cool antique, fire truck that was,
So,
kids love sitting in that.
so next, just a thought on that next year, maybe, there was photo op, but maybe, I don't know how we can encourage that maybe a little more for, like for families.
Sure.
You know, something like that. I
Put some
don't know,
chairs up there.
just a thought or something, because it was great addition.
Well,
Great.
and we couldn't have people climbing on it. We
No, I know.
originally were gonna let that, and then quickly we realized that when I got up in it, I was like, okay, no one else. Matt actually said, no one else up in here. I don't know exactly what that meant when I climbed up there, but okay.
You got it out.
That's right.
All right, Clark, Mr. Clark. Nothing from Mr. Clark.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow time of year.
Okay, all right, it is. All right, we're moving to old business.
We have the agreement with the Trumbull County Sheriff Department for Police Protection. Mr. Anderson has got the talking with the attorney that he can review it, and I'll let him take it from there.
Yeah, he essentially saw no major concerns. He did point out that there was that the union had reached an agreement on their contracts, and so we could insert actual numbers to that for the next 3 years. However, doesn't change the contract, and if we change the contract at all, it's my understanding from Mr. Brett that they have to go back to the county for their legal review, even if it's just a minor change like that. So it essentially points out that that the amount changes with the agreements as negotiated by the union. It would just be putting numbers in there, but it doesn't change the structure, the core of the proposal of the contract. So otherwise, didn't have any concerns. Reviewed it, came well under budget from what we approved. Dropped his rate to 150 from 225 for government rate. And But yeah, everything else looked good.
The one thing I wanted to add, because I talked with Major Kessler about the vehicles. And because once we become a district like that, it's hard to insure 60% of the vehicle. So what they're asking us to do is to sign our vehicles over to them. They'll insure them, they'll repair them like they have been. Everybody will share in the cost of those repairs. But when the vehicles are sold, when it's time to trade them in and get something new, wherever those vehicles came from, be it Village of Please, North Bend, oh, actually, they don't have cars, but Village of Please, if they keep any of the Addison cars or ours, whoever's vehicle is getting traded in, that entity will get 100% of the trade-in value or the outright sale value of the vehicle that was theirs deducted off their portion of the new car. So, as a for instance, we have the Dodge Challengers, right?
Yes.
So, if they sell one of those, then we'll get whatever that's worth, trade-in or sale off our part. The newest vehicle that Cleans has, I'm very about that, that's a Tahoe. So they will probably get more out of that. So when that vehicle sells, Please will get 100% of the trading value or sale of that vehicle on their portion of the next one. But I thought that sounded fair. That was the only holdup that we had was really on vehicles, or that I was really concerned about. And mainly because we can't split the insurance and everything between the four, and the county is better deal on the insurance. I think you guys self-insure, don't you? So, it's going to be a lot cheaper for us to take this on our policy.
And he had pointed that out, and we had talked about that previously, but under 2.6 of the agreement states the Western District shall reimburse the sheriff for future purchase of vehicles, which the sheriff's put on. So we can clarify that there's no future disputes over that issue. You brought that up in the first paragraph. Second paragraph was simply pointing out that the deputies have received the increase January 24 and January 26. So spelled out with the CBA. So there's really only two items that need concerns.
So I got questions. So the amount for 2025, 2026, and 2027. So all three are above where levy brings in.
Right. We have a balance.
We have a balance left over.
Right.
That will cover the
We will be
next 3 years.
then we're going to put an increase after the 5 year, or when this one's not here.
Okay.
Yeah,
So after 2027.
yes,
Okay, we're good for 3 years. Right?
yes.
Okay. My other question is, how are the cars going to be labeled? Because we're paying 60% of it. And not every time I see our car. A lot of times I see our car and it's not in Miami Township. So that's one of my big, huge concerns, that we're paying 60% of the bill and we're not getting adequate patrolling and coverage in Miami Township. So are the 3 cars going to be labeled Miami Township?
I believe, unless I correct me if I'm wrong, unless there's a discussion outside of my knowledge, but I thought there were going to be the individual names Addison, Miami Township, please would be removed and maybe Western District or whatever it was going to be called on the card.
And I understand that, but see, my concern is not having a car here. And I will petition, but yeah, not every time I go out of my township, but a lot of times when I'm down in Cleves or even North Bend or Addison, and I'm seeing our car there instead of here. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're paying 60% of $27, we're gonna be paying. Actually. $943,000 next year, $726. And it's just keeping the cars, we're paying 60%, keeping a car in Miami Township for our residents. And I know not all 24/7, I just think if we're paying more than 30%, we, the board, should be concerned with how much time that car spends in Miami Township.
I understand the concern. I can tell you the
That's
beats,
a big concern.
3 cars, 3 Victor cars, what we call them, 3 cars that are, now would be assigned to, for 24-hour cars assigned to the Western District. All, one is, if you break down the beats, like, where they patrol, what they get dispatched to first. One is entirely Miami Township. And even the other 2 are Cleves and Miami Township, or Addison and Miami Township. All 3 of them are dispatched to and assigned to Miami Township. It's going to be hard for me to prove to you that how much time they spend in Miami Township over, because it's kind of you're kind of doing an individual thing where I always see them outside of Miami Township. I can promise you that they're not. They're always, they are patrolling Miami Township. It's more of a perceived thing. So I'm not sure how I'm going to issue something different.
So are you telling me we're gonna have one dedicated car with Western?
There's one car that's over. I'm just telling you how they're dividing the beats. One beat is completely in Miami Township.
Okay.
And the other 2 they have Addison, but it's part of Miami Township, or Cleves, and then part of Miami Township. All 3 of them touch Miami Township, and one's completely Miami Township.
Correct. I do.
Yeah.
So when that happens, so you're telling me we got one dedicated car and then they're gonna run back up to Cleves, Addison, North Bend.
Yes, the Victor's cars obviously are the first backup to each other and each other's beats.
So do we still have the far west car?
15 would be the first Far West car to be backing up to the Victor cars if they need something.
No, but do we still have that far west car patrolling?
Well, the beat structure would be the Far West car.
So we're gonna have our 3 cars
Mhm.
and then we're gonna have the far west car also, right?
Well, it's right next door in Whitewater, side the Whitewater area.
No, we have 3 24-hour cars.
Yeah.
I mean, the far west of the far west, which is the Whitewater, Crosby, and Harrison. So,
And that's right across the river.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to
right,
get
they
clear.
can respond in. But as
Yeah,
far
they'll
as
still respond in if those
we
3
have
cars
3 24-hour cars.
occupied and they still need another car in there, a wing car would still come in.
As long as that car's gonna be still running for us. That, as long as that beat is in effect, right? That's
The way 15, we don't have exactly identified, but it's basically going to be Morgan Road, south to Route 28 and Harvard Township.
24/7.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I've talked with Sergeant Carney about, and I haven't got to the chief about this, and we talked about it once before. When this building was built, there was an office for the sheriff up here. And the chief said they're using it for some stuff right now, but he had said that he could move that out. I've been meeting to check with him since Monday to see if we can still do that. They would actually like to have an office up here so they could be here more and maybe run a car out of here. So that would give us a little more presence and give them, if they have to do paperwork, they'll come in, put their computer system in, and I'm not sure what all you need in an office.
Well, ideally, we would like at least to be able to, once again, this is future and getting, obviously, the chief's permission and ability, but if there's a room or a place where they could brief and start and dispatch from here in the beginning of mornings and when they switch over in the afternoon, and you can keep some cars up here. Obviously, that's still just a discussion phase, but we'd like to start, the 3, or maybe 1.5, one Cleves, one up north just to begin.
That's
And
what
have
we
a
were,
presence of cars in all 3 spots.
that's what we were talking about, and Mr. Johnson and I have kind of talked a little bit about it, and we need to talk about how many spaces we want to give them, because when we have a big event, and our parking lot gets full, I need to talk with the chief about, maybe when we have a big event, we can get a couple of their cars, their personal cars, they drive to pick up their car. Maybe they can park those down over the hill by the tower. The county they told me what they need access to get in there with. So, and it wouldn't be hard to find an officer to come move his car. Well, I guess if the tower were down, it might be hard to get a hold of them, because that's tower, their communication system. So, but Mike and I have been talking about that. We're not anywhere near ready to bring the whole board, but if we can get them an office up here, we'll see them more here, they'll be here more, and it'll kind of help guarantee that car is here.
I think that's, I would welcome the visibility. I think it would be great if we can accommodate and figure out Chief Schuman, to have that, visible cruiser sitting out more often. And just knowing for the general public that when there's events here or whatever else, or they're coming to do business, that we have that law enforcement presence right here. As far as, you brought up the logos, it's my understanding is that we would either have Western District or the actual Miami Township, serving Miami Township, Williams, that's north, like the whole gamut, the township and the villages. So while there would be that car running, that'd be in the township itself, the unincorporated areas. And then, like the lieutenant said, a sort of a shared village / township, unincorporated, for the other beats, but that it wouldn't be a dedicated Cleves car, a dedicated Addison car, a dedicated Miami Township car. So,
Okay. All right, you got any questions?
and ultimately, this is, again, we're getting 3 24-hour cars for the equivalent of half, 1.5. So this is, in my opinion, a great deal. It increases our public safety here, not only for the unincorporated, but the villages. And it is a tremendous cost savings as far as what we're getting for that.
All right, any more questions? Anybody have a question about this? All right, do we need on this agreement, what we need to do with
Motion to approve, we choose to do so.
Fair to make a motion without it.
I will go.
Yeah, board discussion, or questions. I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement for police protection services as negotiated by our board and Sheriff's Office and Multnomah County Administration that's been presented to you tonight. And this is a 3-year contract, and then everything agreed about to those 3 years.
2027.
Mr. Walrick?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, new business, Mr. Brett.
All right, we have several items for this evening. First, Ms. Hoster sent you the 2025 appropriation and those are permanent appropriations. You would like a motion to approve those.
Second.
Mr. Walrick? Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
So next up is resolution 2024-15. That's a resolution declaring the necessity of levying a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of providing fire protection for said levy. Constitute an additional increase of 4.5 mil for a continuous period in the entire unincorporated area of the township. The future, and further requesting the county auditor to certify the matters in connection therewith. pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 5705.03. That a 4.5 mil is what you discussed at our last meeting. So this is just formalizing, asking the auditor to give us the amount that will actually bring in. This isn't placing it on the ballot yet,
Right.
so
This
we'll do
is the
that
first step.
at the third Wednesday.
I will, I'll make a motion for the full, future, so we can go through resolution 2024.
Second.
Mr. Valrick?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, next on the agenda is resolution 2024-16. That's approving Star Ohio as a depository. Does everyone know what Star Ohio is? You want to read the digest version?
It's just something that the townships, we are allowed to invest money in. That's about the only program we can.
I
invest.
talked to him about it.
Oh, okay.
Do the short thing.
Short version. So the state auditor's office runs this program through a company called Leader Investments. They're usually doing presentations at the Ohio Township Association conference. So this is a fund set up overseen by the state auditor's office and Leader Investments. Usually pays a little better than what your banks will pay in the area. And we met with our bank last week. They've been
They were very competitive until lately.
they are actually meeting the Star Ohio rate on part of our money, but they can't meet it on all of it because of their requirements for having the wherewithal to back that up. So Star Ohio is paying a little over 5%. Last month it dropped to 4.7 something. We were going to get less than 3.1.
And they were gonna do 1% less.
Yeah, so
They were giving us 5 million on our money at the star rate, and then 1% lower on the rest of the money. So if we can do a lot of it with star, we're gonna make more money on interest.
So, you do have to do a resolution to approve the depository.
Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-16?
I will do that. Motion for resolution 2024.
Well, second.
Mr. Volres? Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, next on our agenda is the agreement between I'm not sure how we got a extra letter in there, but so the Aston Bluff subdivision is going to put sidewalks out at the front, and anytime the sidewalks are located within the state right of way, the local jurisdiction will have to be responsible for those. So this is the boilerplate, as I was told by our attorney, agreement for us to maintain those sidewalks. And ideally, as we rework this area up here, work our way down, we'll finally get sidewalks down to where they are. But since this is a new subdivision, the developers will be installing those at their price. So that's why that's on your agenda for this evening.
What are our, do we have other options to negotiate?
We cannot require the sidewalks. We don't have to require the developer to put sidewalks in.
Thank you. For sure. I think that the piece of concern me a little bit, it's not just the general maintenance, it's removal of snow and ice.
Am I not correct on this? It's just the front, very front part that should be very small and
This particular one is going to be very small, but as we grow, and for instance, you know, the idea is to have sidewalks from the corner here down to the new development.
I don't know how that's going to be possible.
Well, United Dairy Farmers will put them in on theirs. We have to put them in on our corner. the person who was held up, he closed on the State Pharmacy Blush building, but, he was willing to put sidewalks in on his property. As a matter of fact, he, had a friend who told him to get his sidewalks in first, and then United Dairy Farmers would have to meet his. And instead of letting United Dairy Farmers put theirs in, then he'd have to meet theirs. So, he's pretty sharp business person. He's gonna want to get ahead of them, so they have to spend the money to meet his rather than him making a lot of changes to meet theirs. So, but as that happens, we're going to become responsible for a lot of the upkeep. And I had no idea that happened on the state route, because it doesn't happen on the township street.
So you're telling me the sidewalk in Green Township, right up by Collision Park, all through there to that neighborhood, the township is responsible for selling ice cream?
That's what they're telling me. That's what.
That seems like it doesn't make
So
sense.
if you'd like to table it and let me do some more research. No.
I say let's table it, so we do find out.
If it's not time sensitive, then yeah, it's.
Yeah, they're not going to build it tomorrow, so.
We're meeting.
So the developer would be happy if he didn't have to pay for it, I'm sure. I'd like to see it.
Well, I'm not really concerned with the development because it's a small area on each side, but like you said, once we get them out here.
Yeah, and part of the goal,
Or acres up to.
Yeah.
To Shady Lane, then that becomes an issue.
yeah, that becomes a lot for a maintenance department and a snow blower to take care of.
Even possible. But why don't we table it? So we're going to be able to table it and.
Yeah, my back's.
We'll bring it back up.
I don't need to be shoveling and snow.
Then the last item is the approval of the final fire hose purchase for the new fire engine. The final quote is $15,287.75. We still have somewhere around $3,000 left from the grant money that we received earlier. When we purchased the first part. That came from Amy Ford.
We have how much left?
Right around 3,000. So, yeah, their donation was a great help in getting this truck outfitted with new hose. And the other thing the chief will be doing is going through the hose that comes off. We do not have really any backup hose right now, is that correct?
Correct.
So we'll be salvaging what we can that comes off the old truck. And we're probably next year, we're going to be looking at purchasing some new hose for the existing truck and moving some of the older hose into reserve. Because if they're out on a run right now and somebody runs over a hose and it busts, we don't even have a section of hose laying around to replace them. So that's not a good position to be in. And he's wanting to get us so that we can keep everything fully loaded and ready to go. So.
We have a motion for the fire hose. Yeah, make a motion to move forward with purchasing the hoses and whatever. Registered with for $15,287.75.
Well, second.
Mr. Gloria?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
So that's all we have for new business.
All right, comments with this board, was long time no see.
I'm here just to thank everyone for what you have done to make Police Across America possible this year. All of you being there, Mr. Ballard, Mr. Clinton, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Beck, and the sheriff and everything were there. We had 1,512 wreaths to distribute this year. We were able to cover every veteran and first responder buried in Maple Grove Cemetery. We had wreaths up at the Harrison Tomb, at Congress Green, and we had a few extras. We put a few out there on your markers and all of that. We could not do this without all of you. We tried to pay back the maintenance department today and split a few pieces in there for them for lunch today, because without them being here to unload everything and to move everything to the cemetery, we couldn't do that physically. So my thanks to all of you for your support. We had a great turnout. It's becoming a real tradition for a lot of the families in this area. So, this was the 6th year. It doesn't seem possible, but we're already starting raising campaign for funds for next year. And I just really appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank you. You do a great job, very, very good job, and it's very much appreciated.
It's my pleasure.
You can tell how passionate you are. So,
Yeah.
thank you for your dedication.
The sailing. So we have until the middle of January to do the buy two get three for you instead of the buy two get one.
But we're going to get information, public get information about purchasing rates.
You've got some things out here. We actually now have our own QR code, and we've always had a web address. So, I know Cleves has it on their website. North Bend has got the information on Monday, and that's going up. I think I have left things with him so that you know, put out here. And at any time, anybody can contact me. So.
If you haven't been to the event, it's a wonderful ceremony for the veterans at Christmas time and Maple Grove Cemetery and the rest of the cemeteries that Ms. West mentioned. So it's really a touching ceremony. So you get a chance to go. All right, anything else from the public? Mr. Burkholz? Yeah.
You know, I apologize for not being there last week. I was up in Columbus, for my, actually not Columbus State, for my, future daughter-in-law's graduation week. So, but it is a fantastic, event. I think I've attended 4 of them, and it does get bigger every year. So I would encourage everybody to donate if they can. Also want to, from the Village of Cleves, I want to thank both the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department. We have our first parade of lights. The Sheriff's Department bent over backwards, so did the Fire Department. And it made it a very, very good event for our village. So I want to thank you guys for that. And I want to thank the trustees for making the Township Town Hall available. It was a little cold, but it worked out in the end. The other thing I want to talk about is our village council met last week to discuss the letter that Mr. Brett sent to our administrator. And I've spoken to Dan about this. Quite frankly, the letter was sort of hard to figure out exactly what was being presented. And I probably learned from you, Dan, that it was sort of an opportunity, an extension was being granted to have discussions with the village. I think the village would be very happy to have those discussions, but I would suggest that we do that in an executive session, a joint session between the village and the township trustees. And the reason why I say that is that we asked for information back in, I believe it was June. And while your letter, Jim, indicates that you answered our questions, I think almost everybody on the council would disagree with that. The answers were not sufficient. We realize that having your levy fail is not a good thing for anybody, for the villages or for the township. However, I want to be also clear that never was the village of Cleves against paying additional fees for our fire department. What we were concerned about is the lack of communication, the lack of involvement. Jim, I know, and I'm going to address this specifically, because when you were telling Justin in your letter that you were sort of coming in on the end of things, you wish you'd been here earlier. I can assure you everything that was discussed, including watching the video of the meeting where you and the chief were present, all of that was shared with him. So he really didn't have to get caught up on anything. He was fully aware, and quite frankly, there's many questions that our council has. So I would just simply say communication, we want that to increase, we want it to be productive. And there are a number of questions that I think are unanswered that we will need. Now, there's some other issues I want to make sure you're aware of. And I'm just gonna pass this over. You might pass some others down. These are the levies that we had in claims going back to 2021. It has the vote totals. We were able to pass one, I believe, of four. The first one was a bad one for the village, is 2021, and that happened right after we disbanded. And when I say we, it certainly wasn't me or any current member on the council, with the exception of Jerry Meister and Kevin Burns. Disbanded our police force. That is still an issue within our village. There are some residents who are happy that they were disbanded, and there were many others that were unhappy with it. So it failed by 3 votes. Every other levy, with the exception of one small renewal, failed by large margins. And so I just highlighted those margins there for you. And that is part of the problem in trying to figure out last spring, what could we afford and what can't we? So let me just specifically tell you in the transition, in the time that Mr. Brett left and the time that they came to our meeting, we were trying to figure out our budget. And quite frankly, we didn't figure it out probably until September. That's when we got our second bill. We've actually done pretty well this year, but we're catching up. We were left with $66,000 of unpaid bills by the old council, and that 66,000 we weren't really sure about. And Cindy, I know you spent a lot of time on that. Is only an estimate, but I think we'll probably have some final numbers, but on the low end of the $66,000. So right up the top of this year's budget, not knowing going in was our budget even accurate, which I would tell you when you have $66,000 of bills unpaid, it's not accurate. There was a larger carryover last year than should have been there. And that's a problem. That's a problem for our village. In 2021, we lost $330,000 of our budget. And quite frankly, they put on a levy last November, not this past November, but in mid-November of 23. And that levy failed by about 70% of the vote. So we have issues in claims that we're trying to address. Some of those have been created by what I would call negligence on the part of the council. If you're not aware, we are our own stormwater district now. Our village pulled out in 2014. And so we don't have like what Hamilton County has. Every resident in Hamilton County, except Cleveland, pays a fee for stormwater. At some point, we're going to have to do that with our residents because everything else is coming straight out of our budget. To give you an example, if you go down into downtown Cleveland, you'll see that we dug out Morgan Creek. We've also been pumping out catch basins that are clogged. The ones on Finley alone are going to run somewhere around $24,000 to clean out. Because since 1994, there was no maintenance done in our village in respect to those issues. So all of these things, quite frankly, have to be taken into consideration as to what we can afford and what we cannot afford. One thing we did make a decision on at the last council meeting is we did renew the contract that you voted on today with the sheriff's department. And but we also did one other thing, because one of the differences between a township and a village is we're a home rule village with ordinances. As a township, you have resolutions. We have ordinances. Unfortunately, the sheriff's department is not in a position where they can enforce those ordinances. And we have gunfire that's going off in the village, and that presents a danger. Our council has had residents bring forth the fact that right over on Main Street, there was a deer shot right in the backyard. Okay, that shouldn't be going on in a highly populated or dense population area. So we also voted at this last council meeting to bring back a very small generic footprint of a police department, and the sheriff's department was actually involved in those conversations. Sergeant Carney was a big help with that. It's not going to be a patrol, so you're not going to see police cars out there patrolling the streets. But what we will have eventually, we haven't named the person yet, is we will have a town marshal. We will have probably 2 part-time detectives. And we believe that is important because of the fact that we are a home rule village and we have issues going on. Some of the same issues you have going on in Miami Township as far as zoning concerns. We had no real court to send them to. We are bringing back our mayor's court. And they'll be dealing with zoning. It's going to be dealing with what I would call criminal ordinances that the sheriff's department cannot force. How that's all going to find it out. But we have a responsibility to our citizens to keep them safe. We also have a responsibility to maintain the property values within the village. And we have cars pretty much everywhere. I know you were talking earlier tonight on Bridgetown Road, I believe is the one you guys were referring to. That kind of stuff goes on in our village too. It's very difficult. It's not fair to the citizens. And quite frankly, at the last meeting, I listened very carefully on the video. The person on, I think it's Foxtrot, that was talking about the issues on that road. So we do need more communication. We need to understand exactly where the township is coming from as far as the fire levy is concerned. And I think if those discussions take place, we'll be able to work out an extension. I will tell you, before I came here tonight, I spoke with our village attorney, and he does have a response back to, I think it's point 3 of the addendum 1 that you sent the village. And so you'll be receiving that response here very shortly. Outside of that, I appreciate your time tonight. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Anybody else?
All right, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else in the public? Kirk Oak, Mr. Oaks? All the way back to 1984.
So, start date.
So, very good.
You just got to give them the.
That's okay. I'll give you your update. So, Fair Becker, and they let me know they were doing this yesterday. Flew a drone over the property, helped with the mapping and speed things up. With all the drone reports we've been getting, they were afraid that we could tell you what calls about a drone flying through the area. But we didn't get any of those. They told me that they were hoping that they could mark that property line for me next week. So with that in mind, I called Kenny Nyer, and I'm waiting on him to call me back. And we had approved, the board had approved Kenny's putting in the system before I got here. So I'm going to ask him to give me an update price, but because I think everything else has gone up, so I'm sure he's going to need a little more. And as soon as we know where it's going to be, and I get Mark out there, it should be a quick, easy thing for us to put in. So,
All right, there you go.
as soon as I know where the property line is, so I don't put it on somebody else's property.
They already shot it. They put red flag right back where the stake was before.
So
I was down there.
I'm telling you, I know.
Okay, like, I went to West Park this morning, I didn't
We,
leave.
we need her to run it and it'll be done. Me.
So I went to the park this morning, but I didn't go to that park, I went to the new Jude Memorial Park. So Mark told me it would be done by tomorrow, he's gonna be here at 2:30 tomorrow, so I'll know where they're at tomorrow at 2:30. So, he did not tell me they got out in Martin.
Any other questions?
Mike just told me that he ain't dying until he gets a drink of water.
All right, so.
So in that case, time it'll be about 10 years. You can hang on. We want you to stick around and enjoy that.
All right, I'll see you soon.
All right. We'll make a motion to go in executive session to consider the appointment.
Sorry. Because one of them was Rovers.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. So I thought we were gonna do it when we come back out.
Well, I just in case you, so she wouldn't have to
Go
stick
ahead.
around. So,
Go ahead.
every year about this time, we started panicking because, we talk about events and summer concerts and all that. So, I've been working with Ms. Rovers. She's been working diligently on those. Again, her goal, and I support that wholeheartedly, and I'm working with Mr. Brett, is that we get all of our events scheduled hopefully by January so that we can announce all that, kind of have all that worked out. So currently, we have secured the staging for August the 1st, which is the first Friday in August, which is traditionally when we hold our second concert. That does not interfere with, the visitation festival, Visit Fest, or anything like that. We tentatively have the menus have a proposal from the menus. And the other date that we have secured a stage is June the 20th, which is a Friday. Again, that's consistent with what we did last year. We tentatively have Naked Karate Girls lined up, which is again another very popular band, and both of these would be big hits. But before moving forward and finalizing the contract or anything else, I wanted to bring this up in front of the board, for consideration. And check with Ms. Oster, and I apologize that I didn't get to talk to her earlier. This comes out of a separate fund, correct? Community fund. So this isn't general fund. This isn't anything.
Well, it's out of the general, the community fund is in the general.
Okay.
But yeah.
So what I was hoping to do is ask the board for between Mr. Brett, Ms. Rivers, and myself to have I guess authorize up to $5,000 per concert to negotiate a contract with those two bands. Again, this is pretty consistent with what we've done, and frankly, some of these bands get $10,000, $15,000 larger events. But I did want to bring that up so that we could meet Mr. Brett, Mr. Rivers, and I over the holidays and finalize all that, and we're working on some other creative ideas around that. So thoughts, feedback, consideration, but I think those would be two huge bands that would really draw a heck of a crowd.
What about sponsors?
Well,
The
and
Civic Association. The Civic Association will set up that.
correct. And so once we approach several of those, the businesses and the Miami Heights Civic Association and others for sponsorships. Most of the time they want to kind of know what they're sponsoring. And so once we would say these are the events, in fact, I can tell you that Miami Heights Civic Association went so far as to want to know what the bands were and say, I want to sponsor this concert as opposed to that concert because they like, a certain band or something. So, anyway.
One quick piece on this,
Yes.
times on these, August 1st, and school back in session.
No,
No.
we checked, and that's third
School
week.
starts like August 13th or something.
Later concert or?
7:30 to 10 is typically when we've done this. Last year, as you know, we tried a Thursday night. I think it was hot, extremely hot and humid that day. And I think it was worth trying because again, a lot of other jurisdictions have done Thursday night concerts. We decided to go back to the Friday night. So it would be 2 Friday nights. And it's kind of, let school get out and, Memorial Day, everybody goes on that quick vacation and everything. So the timing would be good. It spreads it out. So that's kind of what we're looking for. But again, I didn't want to approve anything unless this board supports it. So.
Any other questions? No one questions, correct?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve up to $5,000 for to negotiate with the bands, and then that's approved. We'll come back with each things. That's each.
Okay, I'll second.
All right, Mr. Borat, Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
What else?
The only other thing is that I'm continuing to work with Mr. Brett on an HR employee policy manual, and we've contacted a couple of the different folks and trying to assist with that, and we're working on the exterior lighting. And I will say that my family attended both the Cleves Christmas Walk and the Winter Fest. So I know we talked a lot about the Winter Fest, but the Cleves Christmas Walk was a big success, and I think that both events complemented each other very well. So that's it.
I think we all three attended both events. Yeah, so we all three attended both events, your Friday night and same Saturday. All right, okay. All right, I'm gonna make a motion for executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official for the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual. Where I'm getting other questions. Nicole, second.
So I didn't, someone seconded. Read next one. Mr. Borat,
Yes.
Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
I knew. Yeah.
All right, so we'll make a motion to come back from executive session into regular session. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Borat,
Yes.
Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
So the only thing we have left is, Reese Across America. And I'll make a motion that we approve up to $1,003 for the year 2025, to purchase Reese for that organization.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Borat.
Yes.
Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
All right, anything else from the board? Anything from the administrator? Fiscal officer?
Yeah.
All right, motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Mr. Borat.
Yes.
Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.